This meeting to order. Can I have roll call, please, B?
Mr. Delacorte?
Here.
Mr. Lorenzini?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Donato?
Here.
Mr. Galati?
Here. All right. First order of business, actually, I'd like to welcome Mr. Donato here. First night at Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you.
Welcome to the board. All right, so first order of business tonight, actually, this would be a second order of business tonight, would be acceptance of the minutes of December 12th, 2023. Has everybody had a chance to look at it? You know, B, I don't have those in front of me.
Yeah, I think we're still missing an item on
Right.
the Alpine Commons, right?
I believe we're missing.
Yeah, we're missing the vote on the conditional neg deck.
Is this for Alpine?
Yeah. Right, there's the vote for the denial is shown, but not the conditional neg deck, right? Because we voted on both items.
That should be attached to the minutes.
It was updated, I probably just didn't send it, like one.
Okay.
Because he brought it to my attention and I added it. He did. I posted it on the website, but I never used it.
So it should be added in, Laura?
Just, I would approve it as amended, to be sure, just to check that it gets
Got it.
added on the town website with the minutes.
All right, so then, go ahead, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
All right, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, second order of business. Peter T. Ball, seeking an area variance, section 24037 of district regulations in an R20 zoning district, where an accessory structure is allowed up to 800 square feet in size on an acre. The applicant is proposing a garage of 1,464 square feet, thus requesting a variance of 664 square feet. The property is located at 13 Orange Court on 1.21 acres and is identified as tax grid number 6157029000890 in the town of Wappinger. Can I have a motion to open a public hearing?
Motion to open public
Can I have
hearing.
a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved. Mr. Ball, please, we'll step up to the microphone first. State your name and address, please, for the record.
Peter Ball, 13 Orange Court in Wappinger Falls.
Gotcha. Okay, so for the audience's benefit and anybody listening in and the board as well, just a brief description of what you need and why you need it.
Asking for an accessory garage to support automotive enthusiasts, hobbyists, and repair activities for my own vehicles and for home maintenance equipment.
Okay. All right, so we were out at the house on Saturday and took a good look at what you are planning. We asked you to bring that with you.
I have also made smaller copies for each of you, as well as the 35.
Hey, do we have a copy of a grading plan, or would that be happening like in the next phase?
Well, he would have to submit, I don't know, you haven't submitted a grading plan yet, have you?
Yes,
Oh, you did?
yes.
So that would be something that the town engineer would look at.
Okay.
But until this gets approved or denied, there's no point. If it gets approved but made smaller, or it gets approved at its current size, the engineer wants to look at it once he knows what the actual project will be in its
Okay,
entirety.
yeah, I just think it's good for the audience to note that, the building is sitting essentially on a slope, and the intent is that you would be, regrading such that you enter relatively level, and the back portion of the hill is cut down, correct, to accommodate the structure?
Correct.
Yeah.
Review.
The equipment shown in the plan, does any of it make a significant amount of noise?
Not the equipment shown in the plans. The noise would mostly come from hand tools,
Okay.
which weren't called out in that because it's in a toolbox, like maybe a chisel or a hammer or a saw. Most of this equipment is either for lifting weight, which just has a momentary sound of nothing more than like what an elevator would sound like. The glass bead cabinet uses air power, so the only thing you hear is air hissing while that's being used. But nothing that's above a decibel level that I currently encounter in my existing garage.
So fairly normal noise levels for someone with tools in their house, that's kind of what you're looking at?
Correct.
Okay.
The compressor, maybe.
Air compressor, but that's going to be inside the structure. Everything's going to be inside the structure. The structure's also going to be, it's 2x6 construction with insulation, so when everything is closed up, you're going to have a pretty difficult time hearing anything running unless a door is open. And I have an air compressor in my existing garage right now that I use.
So on the grading plan that we do have, I think that David was alluding to, is you're actually gonna tuck this inside basically the hill.
Yes.
You're raising the front and cutting the back?
We are hopefully going to keep the front as low as possible so that I don't have a rise going up into it with the driveway. And then whatever deficit there is in the back, there will be a retaining wall, which will have to be part of the process as we go forward for approval and such, or
Right.
direction.
So you're basically cutting the structure into the hill?
Correct.
You guys understand?
Yeah, we're not looking to do too much disturbance other than the footprint itself.
Got it.
And this is all for your personal hobby, right? This
Yes,
is
sir.
All for your, everything that's going in here is gonna be for the stuff that you use for your hobby.
Same thing I've been doing for since I've lived there, and we moved in 2001, so.
And the intent is that the kind of equipment you have now in the yard, in the backyard, would be moved into the garage, right?
Will be
So that would now
inside the
be
garage.
concealed.
You will not see it anymore.
I think we had talked about then also potentially conditioning a evergreen
Yes.
row of trees
kind
between
of-
you and your neighbors.
It's sort of depicted in the rendering. We were going to put screening up on the two adjoining property lines, something in the area of green giant thuja, which can grow 30 to 40 feet tall and grow as much as 12 to 15 feet wide. And once it's there, it's like a solid wall of green, and it stays that way year-round. It doesn't lose, it's I believe it's deciduous, it doesn't lose its
Yeah.
leaves or anything.
It's green 365, basically.
365 screen, yeah.
Got it.
And I also, part of what my initial statement that I didn't include was the extension that goes off the back is primarily used for the storage of two vehicles. So that's also going to help bring vehicles inside instead of being displayed outside. And that's an additional reason for the footprint for that.
Understood. And the building itself is going to be, basically your roof structure and your siding and all that is going to be pretty much close to what the house is.
It will be
Correct.
whatever the house is. It will be identical.
Identical.
Identical materials, identical color. It will be aesthetically pleasing and will fit the surrounding style of the other residences in the area. Originally, years ago, we were looking at a metal building, but it just didn't fit, and we didn't want, as much as you tried to dress it up, it still looked too commercial. So we decided to go with a stick-built.
Got it. Okay. You guys have any other questions? Mr. Ball?
Just have a little concern about the size.
Yes.
This is very large.
Yes, it is.
I'm looking at the back, I'm trying to see where you could cut something off, possibly. In the back, you have a space next to the bathroom.
There's a utility, and I didn't mark it on there, but that other room is a utility room
Right?
for the HVAC and water that comes into that area. And if there's enough room where the compressor is mounted outside of it, after all the HVAC equipment is in there, if there's enough room, I wanted to put the air compressor in there as well to give me more floor space in the working area. And I didn't want to run the utility room 16 feet wide. I didn't need a room that big. So with the additional room, we decided to put a half, just a toilet and a sink out there, a wash sink and the toilet. So that's why that's in there. Either way, I need that space for a utility room, but I didn't want to have to key it. And like I said, I didn't want a 16-foot utility room. It's just way too big. So we decided with the extra space to put the bathroom in there.
And you were talking about you had put your truck.
The truck is the model for the front section. The truck is approximately 22 feet long. And so when you pull it in and you have a workbench and a toolbox in front, currently, my current garage, I can fit that truck in there, but I basically have to put the bumper against the sheetrock wall in the back. And when I close the front, the handle hits the bumper. I mean, it's just way too tight. So I wanted to go deeper so that I have room to work and walk around it when I'm in the midst of repair or anything. So that was sort of, I said, I'm not going to have anything longer in here than 22 feet. Let's use this as the standard. And that's why it was
And
designed.
you're planning to
around
put
that
two
size.
vehicles there, right? Is that alongside that long space in the front, on the left side as you're facing it?
So left side in the back, there'll be a lift that can store two vehicles, one on the ground, one on the lift. And then on the left side is where another vehicle can park. And then on the right side, there's going to be a asymmetric lift
Yep.
for maintenance. And then there's a small workshop area on the right where the bench is with the welding equipment.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sure, right ahead, you.
The 24 by 20 vacant spot in the back where there's no structure?
Oh, the open area?
Yes, you don't plan on, that's not a slab, correct?
It's just earth.
Okay,
There's no
it's a
plan
good place to
for-
hide cars.
I'm sorry?
It's a good place to hide cars, is it? You're
I
not going to
have-
have access to that, are you?
I didn't put any provisions to get anything back there. As you can see on the plan, there's no driveway or other. The only thing that may go back there,
You know, it's really
Okay,
something like
okay, yeah,
that.
because I didn't pick that up, because it's not
Yeah, it's
shown.
all flat, yeah, I mean, in reality, it's gonna
I
be.
didn't, I can't see the grade on this drawing.
okay.
The rendering doesn't.
Yeah, no, I understand now.
The only thing that we may put back there once it's leveled is we plan to put an emergency generator in for the house and a fuel source, whether it's heating fuel or diesel or propane. So that area would work perfectly to kind of help conceal that and keep it packaged all within that space. So that's the only plan I had for that little spot outside of grass.
Okay?
Anybody else? Tom, good?
Mr.
Barbara?
Ball, what's the height of the garage?
19 feet. And I did give the board the updated print that was missing the dimension at our last meeting for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you think we have some audience members?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Anybody else up here? I'm good. All right, in the audience, anybody would like to comment on this variance?
Excuse me, Mr. Ball, would you just turn your easel around so that the audience can see?
Could you come on up?
Thank you. That's fine.
Could you just step up to the mic and your name and address, please?
My name is Don Pavlok, 11 Orange Court, and I'm the adjacent property owner to Mr. Ball.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow board members. My name is, like I said, Don Pavlock, 11 Orange Court, Wappingers Falls, New York. I live next door to the Balls. I purchased this property 3 years ago. I moved back from Myrtle Beach. I'm originally from here, lifelong resident, born and raised in Beacon. Obviously, the reason why I purchased the home, it's on a cul-de-sac. Privacy, beautiful home, great landscaping, and I love the idea I have all environmental land behind me that nobody can build on. So that's the main reason why. I'm also retired. I spend a lot of time out in my yard doing yard work. I really enjoy that. Otherwise, I'm on a golf course. So, I'm not here to prevent the applicant from enjoying his property, as we all are entitled to do, but I strongly oppose to this variance. I am trying to protect the character of the neighborhood with the current code of 800 square feet for an accessory building within the zone. In 2016, the applicant came before the zoning board for an area variance for a detached garage, basically for the same purpose. The site was positioned directly behind the applicant's residence with no view from the cul-de-sac and not intrusive to nearby neighbors. This applicant brought that application before the board as the only feasible way to achieve his lifelong goal. Also in his application, the applicant stated that the criteria for purchasing his home in 2001 was that the attached garage had its own roof for possible expansion, and this property was large enough to support a structure. So he had two options to achieve his goal. The applicant stated that this property is only unique in its physical characteristics. I have a copy of that application if anybody would like to review it. Now we fast forward 7 years later, and the applicant submits a new application for a detached garage in a different location on his property, which he has the right to do. This request is for 1,464 square feet, and the code now is 800. Previously, it was 600. So the town board increased it 200 square feet for all of the residents in my zone. So a variance of 664 square feet. The applicant states in his application, and we all make mistakes, it's 75% over. It's 83% over code. That is substantial. The applicant has stated he feels this new location will work out better than the original location. He never said the original location would not work. I have read through the application and listened to his testimony on 12/12/23 before this board. If you would like to review number 2 in the packet, it shows the applicant's square footage for his home, attached garage and shed per Dutchess County parcels. This request is almost the size of his residence, shy by 216 square feet. Now, if you combine the proposed garage with his attached garage and his shed, it would give him 2,188 square feet for vehicle maintenance, storage, and a workshop as a hobbyist. If the applicant built the code with a detached garage, the current attached garage, shed, it would give him 1,500 square feet, 1,504 square feet for his goal, just shy of his residence by 176 square feet. The applicant has stated it is not a traditional garage, which I agree with him. He further stated that this will be aesthetically pleasing. Aesthetically pleasing to who? Certainly not the neighbors or the character of the neighborhood. Through his testimony and the size of this application, his request invites a quasi-commercial establishment in our backyard in the neighborhood, which is a major concern. This area is not zoned for commercial. What happens in the line if the applicant sells? and the new owner comes in, he's not a hobbyist. Then what do? The cul-de-sac is basically made up of 5 residents on about 3/4 of an acre to just over 1 acre. Each of these properties are separated by what I call a small buffer zone, okay? You got trees, you got ground coverings, and so forth. You can refer to number 3, which shows the layout of each. I've identified number 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13, all the properties. This area between our homes is frequented by hawks, owls, deer, fox, and other species of birds. It is also a natural path where animals walk through to reach familiar habitat throughout where the animals walk, throughout our neighborhood and the adjacent environmental land behind us. I had an environmental form mapper done on Mr. Ball's lot. Answer to number 15 is yes. This shows he must mitigate for the Indian bat with the DEC. You can refer to number 4 if you would like to look in the packet for that. I also attached a copy of the Dutchess County parcels pictures of the layout for the other 5 cul-de-sacs in our development. This is number 5 located in your packet. This shows single-family homes on each parcel and the size of the lots. This also shows that each home has an adjoining home similar to the Orange Court cul-de-sac. If you drove through our development during your site visit the other day, you would see single-family homes with a shed either on the rear or on the side. Nowhere is there a single-family home and a detached garage basically the same size on any of these properties throughout our development. I contacted a real estate agent, and she conducted a site visit. In her opinion, this proposed garage would have an adverse effect on the character of our properties and the theme of the neighborhood. She also stated in her opinion, from a real estate perspective, our home value could decrease. I would like to enter that in to the record.
Increase or decrease?
Excuse me? Minutes.
Increase or decrease?
It would decrease.
Decrease.
Yes. Also, I contacted a general contractor and a land surveyor, who has 25 years' experience in construction and surveying. It's his opinion, after reviewing a topographical map and a site visit, that the building into a slope is the worst possible site for this property. He stated a more westerly location is ideal for this parcel. He went on to state when you build into a slope, so many variables can come into play with that parcel or adjoining parcels. I would like to also enter that in. This detached garage will produce an undesirable character change to our neighborhood and would create a detriment to nearby properties should the board grant this variance, in my opinion. The applicant has other alternatives. He could add on to his existing garage, like he had mentioned in his application previously, or he could build the code. This area variance is substantial at 83% over code. This is written in his application and his testimony. This proposed variance will have an adverse effect and impact the physical and environmental changes in our neighborhood. Some of the potential issues are stormwater runoff. That's a big concern of mine because if you saw the terrain that comes off the environmental property behind us, all of us get water on our property. It takes a few days for it to drain out. removal of mature trees and ground covering in this area, which will eliminate basically the privacy that we enjoy right now and the other neighbors have enjoyed for years. Excavation of the slope with possible hammering of rock, mudslides down the road, we don't know. Leakage of oil and gas into land from vehicle maintenance, lawn equipment repair, excessive noise, and dust from the proposed gravel driveway. These are just a few of the current concerns for my neighbors and myself. But my main concern is my irrigation well, which is very close to this site. The excavation alone, with the grading of this area, may cause the slate and the rocks to shift, resulting in issues that I don't want to endure. The previous owner I spoke to, he was the original owner. Numerous times, he's had issues with the well in the past. On that side where Mr. Ball is going to put his proposed detached garage, that was the side I was supposed to have my garage on back when my home was built. What happened was they started over there hammering the rock. There was too much rock. It was going to cost too much money to blast. So what they did is they came back to the town of Wappingers, back to the building department, and they took the garage from that side over to the present side. But then what happened, the gentleman had to get an easement from the other owner on the other side at 9 Orange Court. Reason being is he only had 10 or 11 feet to get out of his driveway or out of his garage. So he got an additional 13-foot easement so he wouldn't have any issues backing out of his garage. So that's a major concern. I know that area per the old owner, and if you walked on my property, you could see the rocks. So that's a major concern there, especially with my well being over there. Also, we would no longer be able to consider a pool area in our backyard, nor could we enjoy the future gravel pit area up on the top. My neighbor, Mr. Burnell, who lives over on Aladdin, in the corner one behind Mr. Ball, and he butts up to my property. He had come to me probably about beginning of the year. Never met the gentleman in my life. Comes over to me and he says, Mr. Pavlik, would you tell me where your property line is? I showed him about where it was. The reason why he came over is because he intends on clearing out his land back there. He wants a backyard for his family. Well, if he clears that out now, Mr. Ball gets the variance approved, he's going to look at a garage for the rest of his life, and his family is too. Not only that, the sunlight that he gets from that direction, all possibilities gone, or a good majority of it anyway. This application and the applicant's testimony show this is self-created hardship. I submit a petition signed by myself and 9 other neighbors who oppose this variance for the reasons that I have mentioned. I would like to place it into the record. And Mr. Chairman, they're printed, signed, addresses, and phone numbers.
Can we look at that information?
Sure.
I think we should look at everything you've submitted, right? I mean,
Yeah, okay.
Can we see the hard copies of everything you've
Do you have other things, Mr. Pavlik, that you'd
Yes, I
like
do,
us
a couple more.
to submit?
Submission, no, sir.
Okay.
Thanks.
You okay to continue, sir?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. So like I said, there's 9 neighbors that oppose it for the same reasons I do, or similar reasons anyway. You can read the petition. I also have a letter from my neighbor at 9 Orange Court, and his, obviously his concerns are over the size of the variance, and he also submits it. Now, when I was doing my research on this variance, also, when I come into the boards, I like to go back and look at past decisions by boards. And I looked from the last meeting all the way back. And the only one that fits almost perfect to this criteria goes back to February of 2017. And I'm sure that Mrs. Roberti will remember this, and I'm sure that the chairman will remember this case. The gentleman lived at 22 Van Dran Drive, am I pronouncing that right?
Van Dran, yes.
Okay. He submitted an application for a garage, 36 by 36, 1,296 square feet. He was going to be over by 696 square feet. The gentleman lives on 11 acres, 700 foot from the roadway. No garage at that time. No neighbors anywhere around. Mr. Prager, the chairman, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Cassell was actually absent that day, and a gentleman by the name of Mr. Travis was on the board at the time. And Mr. Prager stated, and the board agreed, had this been brought up on a 1 or 2 acre parcel, he would not support it. Seeing it was on a large parcel, 11 acres, no neighbors in sight, 750 feet from the roadway, they granted him the variance. That was the only feasible way that he could reach his goals. No change to the neighborhood. Everything from the 5 reasonings why you grant a variance were in order. I ask you as a board to enforce the current applicable ordinance as written, and please vote to deny this variance along with my neighbors that are on that petition. I thank you for your time, and I submit my letter to the minutes.
Thank you for your time and your submissions as well. While I'm reading, anybody else in the audience want to speak on behalf of this application? Step up to the mic, please. And name and address as well, please.
Good evening. My name is Magdalena Miranda. I live at 7 Orange Court, the same street across from Mr. Ball. And I would like to see which neighbors oppose this project, because this man claiming that all the neighbors are against Mr. Ball's project. I never heard about any petition, never heard about any issues. So, and since he moved, he's the problem on the street. He calls the police and he screams at the kids on any little thing. So I'd just like to say that, I'm sure if, whatever project any of us will have it, he will be against and oppose this. So I would like to see the petition that he's saying all the neighbors sign it, and who signed it, because I never heard about any petition. And this is the first time I'm hearing about any petition and all the neighbors being against it.
Yeah, on the petition looking at it, there's a couple on Orange Court, but it looks like most of them are on Aladdin.
Oh, okay.
And some other streets as well.
So
Yeah, most look
it's-
like they're on Aladdin.
Okay, so it's probably people not even from our street, okay, most of us.
So as far as this application is concerned, you don't have any objection to it?
Well, I don't have objection, against the project. Yes,
You're speaking on behalf of,
I'm speaking on, on behalf of myself. I don't know what other.
and Mr. Ball, you.
And yes,
yeah.
yes, because that's, if I know he loves the cars, I know he's just fixing his cars and he needs more space, and I don't see any problem about that, and I don't think so it's gonna have any issue any with the environment, like he's saying, the animals are crossing, the pathways. Animals are everywhere, and I don't see any. It's like we have safari there. There's gonna be and then other issues that he's stating. So yes, I agree with Mr. Ball. I don't have anything against his proposition. Okay.
Thank you for stepping up to the mic. Anybody else in the audience? Oh, please step up to the microphone. Name and address, please.
We are Ryan and Deb Wright. We're on Bel Air Lane, 3 Bel Air Lane. So we are on the opposite of the cul-de-sac to the Balls. Our backyards actually are adjacent.
Gotcha.
We've lived there for over 26 years now and have known the Balls for 21 years. The whole time he's been doing his automotive work, we have never heard any noise, any issues at all.
As far as the sunlight being taken away by this building, the way the sun comes over our property, the way it's set back, you're not even gonna see the sun until it's on the other side. You have woods that come all the way around, the neighbors that are on the other street. They're far enough set back from this that it's not even gonna be anywhere near them. Like I said, we're next to them. We never heard about a petition either. He never came to our door.
I have no doubt that whatever Mr. and Mrs. Ball decide to do, that it would be aesthetically pleasing to the neighborhood. This is their home, and they would not want anything that is detrimental to our environment.
So you saw where Mr. Ball had basically the footprint of the building.
No, I've been over there, looked at all this, went through it all with him several times, different. As far as the animals, they're everywhere. They're not gonna be stopped by anybody or anything. There's a little, you were at the site, so you saw where our house is.
You're directly behind the Balls?
Not directly behind, but on the 3 Bel Air side.
Okay.
So we're gonna be on his west.
I understand. Mhm.
There's a strip of land between his grass and our grass, and there's probably 10 deer out there running around in that little strip of woods. So, the way he's got it positioned, it's set back. The only person, and especially with the trees that are gonna be put up, the shrubs, the first maybe year or two, you might be able to see it, but after that, you're not even gonna be able to see it. These two here, they're stand-up couple. They've always been, always will be. We only hear other things that come from the person that moved in, and they're not really, it seems like he's yelling at kids. He's yelling at kids playing basketball in a cul-de-sac, riding bikes. They're kids. It's a cul-de-sac. Like he said, it's, you don't want your kids playing on Bel Air. So I have a hard time believing anybody would be against anything that he has to do.
Understood. Understood.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for stepping up to the mic as well. Thank you. Anybody?
Pete,
Hold on. Anybody else? Hold on. Anybody else in the audience want to speak on behalf of this application?
I actually do have a question for Mr. Ball.
Go ahead.
Have you priced out the foundation work for this garage yet?
No, only because we don't know what we're going to be approved for.
Okay, because I think there is a valid concern. You're basically building into a depression, and you are going to be excavating, substantially.
Yep.
And if it is rock, I could see that being prohibitive, incredibly expensive, perhaps more than you want to pay. If that happens, and he ends up shifting the location, how does that impact our variance? I mean, any decision we make is at least
So
partly
you're
based upon the
giving-
location.
Okay, so the way this is presented right now, he doesn't need side or rear yard variances.
Well, I think if anything, you'd be shifting it
He
more
would be
towards the middle of the
shifting
yard.
it more toward, in him, I'm looking at the topography there, and it slopes up.
Yeah.
The properties around him, if anything, their water comes down.
Yeah, he's in a basin, basically.
And he
where
seemed, yeah, just looking at the grading on there, it's pretty tight. So if he hits rock, I see him shifting it more toward the interior of his yard. But the grading permit would have to get amended for the engineer to look at it if it shifted from the spot that you originally approved it for, if that happens.
I mean, I'm just thinking, if we grant this, and one of the conditions is that, you know, we're doing trees around it, and then the whole structure shifts, I mean, that condition's kind of,
No, you could still, I would still, if you do a condition for landscaping, that stays. And you need to be a little specific, because we've had this issue in the past. You can't just say bushes or tree, you have to kind of give a ball size or a height size to start, and on 3 foot on center, or whatever it's gonna be. And not to you, but years ago, it would be 6 bushes, and then we were like, little bushes.
I mean, if the garage does shift, I could see the screening being needed on the opposite side, you know,
Depends on how
between
far-
that and the 3 properties.
Yeah, it's pretty
facing.
wide there.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how we would even condition
Well, if
that.
the building shifted, the landscape would shift as well, no?
Yeah, but you're going from, you know, screening, you know, between, you're going from screening kind of here to screening on this side, right? Potentially.
So it's basically shifted this way, or this way. Right? So you just shift it down to get out of that cut.
I mean, I would think that this would probably go here. And if that's the case, it's, you know, the screening, I think we would be doing here, as it currently exists. But if it's here suddenly,
So that when the screening go here, then?
would you have screening? Yeah, I don't know, it's a question, right?
So you could do something where he has 20 and 40. The screening has to be within 10 feet away from it, regardless of where it is or something. You could give it a number.
Okay.
So that if it comes in, the screening comes in. If it stays there, it still protects the neighbors, if that's where you're going with that. So then if he has to shift it,
Yeah,
the
because I mean, if
screening
it
would
shifts
shift.
down, then, you know, the more it goes this way, the more I would think something potentially there would be needed, whereas in this location, it's not really an issue.
Because those 2 properties behind him and there are high side,
Yeah,
and he's gonna be lower.
Yeah.
they're gonna be looking down on it.
Or we can things conditioned.
Do I have an opportunity to provide some clarity
Sure,
based
go ahead.
on what you're speaking of, and also on some things that were brought up by Mr. Pavlock,
yeah.
if possible? I don't want to get into a game of badminton here all night long, but just to try to clear up some things. With regard to the screening, my intention was, regardless of a shift or anything else, was to stage the screening right along the property line. The first thing I'm going to do is put up a post and beam fence on just to my side of the property line. And then within the diameter of these bushes, which grow 10 to 15 feet in diameter, I would stagger that off the fence, and that's where it's going to stay, okay? Because I can't get any closer within that buffer, and therefore it's going to provide an appropriate screening wherever that garage is. If it moves 5 feet, 10 feet this way, that way, doesn't matter. And it's also going to go across the adjacent property line that connects my property to the neighbors behind me. And it may go quite a distance because those pines are not long for this earth because they're dropping a lot of dead branches and things. Okay, so that's, first of all, with the screening. Second thing is, my well is back there, as you could see. We had to put a new well line in 4 years ago. We did it with an excavator. Was there stone and rock? Yes. Did we have to use a hobknocker to break any of it up? No. There's shale all throughout this area. We all have to contend with it, whether it's new construction or existing construction. So to say that getting in there with an excavator is going to shift stone that's going to upset somebody's well, which is a distance away, it's not as close as mine. Mine's right there, okay? And the well is not a vessel. It is a natural underground aquifer, okay?
How deep is your well?
So, I'm sorry?
How deep your well is?
There's nothing on there, but when we first moved in, I found several lengths of conduit because they had to replace it, and I'm estimating it to be between 125 and 130 feet down.
125 to 130 feet.
Correct.
Right? Your excavation is probably going to be about
4
5 feet.
5 feet. okay? So I think it's really superficial, and even if I do have to go in, going into the bank to do that, most of what's back there are tree roots and things which are easily excavated. And again, it's not going to be any different than what we encountered doing that well. I rented a hobknocker and I never even had to use it. Okay, so as far as the shale issue, I appreciate everybody's concerned about my hardship and what it's going to cost me. But trust me, I have more than enough money, whether there's big stone or small stone there, to put this garage where it's got to be. All right. The second issue is the reason that I changed, well, another issue, I shouldn't say second. The reason that I moved this garage from where it was originally going to be located to this location was my first location. Unfortunately, I had family at the time talk me into putting it directly in behind my house. I didn't have a topographical survey done back in 2016. I had a standard survey. But now that we have the topographics and we notice that that yard gets incredibly wet there, and to put a bathroom in, I will never hit the pitch to my sewer line because I am lower than where the sewer line is. So that is why that garage needs to go in that location, so I can hit the pitch from there for the sewer line over to the west corner of the house. Okay.
Understood.
As far as, I submitted the environmental impact form and everything else with it. Nothing came back to me about any animals or anything that were in danger. We do get bats, we get fox, we get coyotes, we get deer. A few years ago, we had a bear. So everything goes through that area back there. And as we discussed during the site visit, I intend on keeping all the rest of the mature tree growth and planting more trees because we like to see the wildlife back there. That's one of the reasons why we bought this property. Okay. I'm trying to remember some of the things that were said here, so just bear with me. Again, Mr. Pavlock brings up that there are a list of folks on a petition, but I don't see any of them here, and I don't see anybody raising their hand if they had that much of a problem, okay? So as far as signatures, phone numbers, and addresses, I could do that, I could Google that, all right? They should be here if they have a problem with this project. Now, my driveway is a stone driveway, the existing driveway that's there. No one's ever complained that me going up and down my driveway is creating dust and a hazard. Okay, so to extend that out into the back, I don't see that as anybody's hardship, especially from somebody that lives on the opposite side of the cul-de-sac and is, if anything, they're in an elevated position. So I'm downwind from them, okay? As far as drainage, Mr. Pavlock's concerned about mudslides and everything else. It's not his concern, it's mine. If I create the issue, I have to take care of it, and I'm willing to take that responsibility on, okay? He's above me. This will not impact his drainage. As far as water runoff, there will be no hard surfaces back there. This is intended to be a soft surface driveway so that the water can absorb through the ground as it currently does. There will be gutters, and we were going to put rain barrels in so we could use the rain barrels as reservoirs to water plants and other things in the area so that the water just doesn't run wild. And if anything, it's going to go in my backyard first. Okay, so I don't see where that's a concern. Trying to remember what some of the other issues were. I think those are the main things that I just wanted to clear up again. All of the green cards came back. I thanked a few neighbors that were here to speak on my behalf. Until Mr. Pavlock moved in 3 years ago, there's been no complaints about me doing anything or at all. I've supported my neighbors all the time we've been there. I supported Mr. Pavlock when he first moved in, until we had some differences. So unless you had some questions for me, I don't have much more to say on that.
Just a question that popped up in my mind was the irrigation well. I don't know.
A what?
The irrigation well question that Mr. Pavlock brought up.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I just have a well.
It's on his property.
He has a well too.
Irrigation well? Is it?
No, my well.
Oh, your well.
It's a well.
Which is near his home, and as you can see in the rendering, you can't see it in the Google view. His well is approximately here. I know exactly where it is. My well is on the other side. So I'm quite a distance away. I don't see how disturbing this is going to affect it well.
Okay.
But I'm not a geologist either, so be that as it may.
Understood.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Any other comments?
The concern over the petition, as you know, I don't have to go to every neighbor, okay? A petition is a petition. People either sign it or they don't sign it, okay? 3 people on that list, and you can call them, the neighbor that's directly behind Mr. Ball, myself, and the neighbor behind with the children, I believe, is probably number 9, Aladdin, okay, are the 3 people that are most affected by this. If you're over on Aladdin where this gentleman is, obviously, you're really not going to see it. This doesn't have anything to do with his property. Mr. Ball, when he talks about my well, he knows for a fact that the previous owner had issues with the well. That's my concern. I didn't say he was going to do anything with it or that it was going to create it. There's the potential, okay?
How deep's your well, do you know?
I want to say the old owner said maybe 125. I'm not sure. But these are all issues, and just like when I bring up past cases that this board, not you gentlemen, but past boards have identified that a variance in this size doesn't belong on a 1-acre piece of land. I have no problem if he goes to code. None at all. And I don't agree with the green trees. I just planted 4. Could take 10, 15 years. If any variance, and I would ask the board, if any variance is granted, why can't Mr. Ball put a 6-foot fence up our property line? So I don't have to hear any noise, the dust from the gravel. Gravel driveways, I have them. They create dust. My picture window is 30 feet away. My well, I took a picture for you so you can see it.
I believe he indicated that he would be doing a fence, correct?
Yeah, post and beam.
Post and beam. Okay.
I would like I said, I don't understand why a 6-foot fence can't go along the property line if a variance is granted. I think that would be a request of the board.
But wouldn't the landscape screen serve the same purpose?
Nah, not really.
I understand the concern. I mean, the fence is a more immediate screening.
I mean, well, I'm going to wait 15 years. Like I said, just my opinion, okay? And as far as the lady that talks about police, I'm retired from the state police. I've never called the police in my life. So I don't know what she's talking about. I have no clue. Did I yell at her child for throwing his balls and everything, soccer? Play on your own property. You don't have to play on mine. So they were issues, but I'm not going to argue with anybody.
Right.
So I'm not here for that.
Right.
I voiced my opinion, my concerns. The opposition is legitimate. Call each one of them, and they're all within a football field and a half, just like the other gentleman spoke before. So it's not like they're out of the area. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Just one more.
One more?
Give me like
Go ahead. Go ahead.
There was a few things I forgot that Mr. Pavlock reminded me of. Joe Benigno was the original property owner of 11 Orange Court. Joe did have trouble with his well, I think 3 times. He had the same problem I had. It had nothing to do with any construction. It had to do with the shale. And the issue was, when the builder built his home, as the same thing I found with mine when I dug it up, they didn't lay the well line in sand. They put it back in the ground and they threw the rocks on top of it. And as the shale shifts and you go through your freezing area, the points of the shale, which can get very sharp, perforated the plastic well line. It happened to me twice. The third time, we put thicker well line in, and I put it inside of gray EMT pipe to protect it, so that'll never happen again. So that was the issue with the well line, not because of some other outside force. It was poor installation in an environment that required protection. The 6-foot fence is going to require another variance because I believe you can only put up 4-foot high fence.
It's 4 feet at the front property line. If it's along your side property line, you're allowed to do 6.
Oh, you are? That I didn't know. We typically don't like fences that obscure. We like to see through the woods and watch the animals come through. That's why we like the post and beam. That's why we like the arborvitaes. The arborvitaes that we, and you can look this up, they're called green giant thujas, Thuja. They grow 3 to 5 feet per year, okay? Mr. Pavlock had expressed to me that he's probably only going to be here another 3 years, and he's moving back to Florida to be with his daughter. So he doesn't have to wait for 30 years for these trees to grow, because he probably won't be here. Okay, that's it.
Familiar with the arborvitaes? Anybody else? Board? I think we'll move forward. Anybody else in the audience? Any other questions, concerns? All right. So for the record, no other comments. Can I have a motion then, please, to close the public hearing?
One other thing, Pete.
Yep.
I would have a tendency to agree with Mr. Pavlock about the fence. I would like to see that conditioned in if I'm going to vote on this.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You want a fence? I'll put up a fence. I don't care.
Now, do we have to choose where it goes?
So if I put up a fence, I don't have to put up screening then, right? I don't have to put the bushes up.
That would be your screen. Yeah.
Just between my property and his, not between my property and the folks behind me.
Yeah, I think it would be just along the one property line.
Just give me a length, how far you want it, come stake it
Yeah, I
out.
think we have to be specific,
Okay.
you know, on
Very
where.
specific.
Next my question.
We can actually show it on the grading plan. Well, where we're going to help ourselves. So, go ahead.
And there's one other note. If this should move forward, I would like a condition that the original variance issued in 2016 is now negated.
Null and void.
Because variances run with the land, and since you're choosing a different place, I don't need a neighbor 10, 20 years from now coming and going, I have a variance in the backyard.
Understood. I agree. Okay, so we close the public hearing, right?
Did we close? No, we did
No,
not.
we didn't
I'll
get
make
that
a
far.
motion, or Pete, you made a motion?
I made a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I so moved. All right, now then, can I have a motion then to grant or deny the applicant the variance with the said stipulations?
Make a motion to grant the variance, conditioning a fence along his, the property line. I don't know if we can give the length on this.
6-foot fence.
6-foot fence.
Why don't you come on up, because we want to define it, okay?
I'd say from a minimum from here to the back of the garage, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
This is
it
the
shouldn't be to
adjoining,
wherever
right?
his property line ends. I'm not sure where his property.
Well, I don't think you're going to be able to go all the way down to this point.
You can't go forward of the house.
Can't go forward of the house.
With 6 feet.
Right.
So there'll be a line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
So,
take a line off the
I
house
can
and
string
straight
line, if
back.
that's acceptable to you, I
Yeah.
can string line off the front.
As soon as it's in front of the house, it's a 4-foot fence. Right.
So you want it to drop from 6 to 4?
Well, no, I think you just go from this
Can't go
point
past
back.
in front of the house.
Please.
Yeah.
It's, I'm okay.
So it gets to start here.
Okay, so we're just going to draw a line this
Understood.
way, right?
Yep.
And
Is there a specific style or type of fence that you want me to put up? Materials, type?
well, I think it has to provide a screen, right? So you have a couple different, I would say it can either be, wood, cedar type fence, or it could be vinyl as well.
Okay.
But it would have to be solid.
Yes. Okay. I just didn't know if did it have to be wood, did it have to be vinyl, did it have to be what?
I don't think we need to condition the material.
Just as long as it's solid.
There's such price differences between them.
Yeah, there's.
It's actually cheaper doing that than the screening. So, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need a length? Can we propose a length, or what can we do?
I don't know if we can actually do that, right, Barbara?
I think as long as, according to what you want, and I just think we need to be clear with Mr. and Mrs. Ball. I want them to hear this. Mr. and Mrs. Ball, so that you're agreeing to starting the fence to the right side of the front of your house,
Facing the house to the right.
facing your house to your right. You can't go front of the house.
Correct.
So you have to draw an imaginary line
Yep.
to the rear property line.
To the rear property point.
Point,
Where
where
it changes
where it
direction.
changes, correct.
Absolutely.
And you're okay with that?
I'll
Then
sign
that's your-
off on it if you need me to.
That's your no, it'll be in the record.
Be in the record. Okay, continue, David.
Based upon that condition, whether the benefit can be achieved by other feasible means, no. There's no undesirable change to the neighborhood. The request is substantial. There's no adverse physical or environmental effect, and the difficulty is self-created.
All right, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah, roll call, please, B.
Mr. Delacorte?
Yes, with the condition of the fence.
And the second condition to negate this first.
Oh, yeah, the second condition to negate the original variance from, don't remember the year,
2016.
2016.
I'll look up the actual number and things.
All right, so we're at the roll call.
Okay. Mr. Delacorte?
Yes, with the two conditions.
Okay. Mr. Lorenzini?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Denard?
I have to refrain, I haven't been here from the beginning of this project.
So, yes as well with the two conditions. All right, so your variance has been approved with those conditions, and you're free to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want these,
Keep these.
I know he had some concerns about,
Yeah. Do you want to take these back, Mr.
Do you want to take
Ball,
these
or
with
wants
you?
to keep these?
Mr. Ball, leave one copy with B. Leave one copy for the record with B. What, you get this? Okay, I have John's. That works. Thank you. Yes, I see that. And who has the copies of the submittals,
Of the what?
of Mr. Pavlov's submittals?
I have, we all do.
No, the one that B,
well, we had a singular
Oh, that's
copy.
over there.
Yeah.
okay, as long as it's back, it should stay with the record.
The letter.
I have it right here.
Petition.
All set?
This what you want?
No, that, the thing, the papers, like the petition, and
Okay.
I want, it's back there, but I want that to stay.
He doesn't want this back there, Mr. Ball.
No. John gave me his copy. Okay. So we're good.
All right, so we're ready for the next item on the agenda, appeal number 237812, area variance. Kayla Weiss, seeking an area variance, section 24037 of district regulations in an R20 zoning district where 20 feet to the side yard property line is required. The applicant can provide 10-foot 6 feet for the installation of an in-ground pool, thus requesting a variance of 9.4 feet. Where 40 feet to the rear yard property line is required, the applicant can provide 9.3 feet for the installation of an in-ground pool, thus requesting a variance of 30.7 feet. Where 20 feet to the side yard property line is required, the applicant can provide 5.2 feet for the construction of a 10-foot by 16-foot shed, thus requesting a variance of 14.8 feet. Where 40 feet to the rear property line is required, the applicant can provide 5.9 feet for the construction of that same 10-foot by 16-foot shed, thus requesting a variance of 34.1 feet. The property is located at 52 Helen Drive on .36 acres and is identified as tax grid number 615802786871 in the town of Wappinger. Can I have a motion, please, to open the public hearing?
Motion open, public hearing?
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Please step to the mic. Name and address.
My name is Kayla Weezy, 52 Helen Drive, Wappinger Falls, New York, 12590.
And for the record and the board's benefit, what you need and why you need it.
Sure, we're looking for an area variance to put an in-ground pool and a shed to contain some of our properties. As we stated on Saturday, we would be okay with downsizing the shed to a 10 by 14 to meet the requirements of the 144 square feet. Our property is a little bit smaller, so we have to get the variance in order to put the in-ground pool and the shed on our property. Most of our neighbors in there would have had to do a variance as well to put a pool or a shed, and most of our neighbors either have a pool or a shed.
Yeah, we were all at the site visit on Saturday and saw exactly what you got going on. So this is the pool that they would like to put in, right? Right. The deck is existing. The steps were not, though, right? The steps are going to
The
add
steps are on the side. We would
here.
put additional
These
steps.
steps are going to go down to the pool. This concrete pad is existing with a gazebo
Yes.
on it, basically. And this is where the proposed shed would be, in the corner of the yard. Now, the shed we discussed on the property, or briefly mentioned it to you, that if we reduce that to a 10 by 14, I believe, right?
Right, the variance would be
Reduce the
less.
square footage, which would then reduce the setback requirement, right?
So as the shed stands now, you need 20 and 40?
Right.
If you reduce it to under 144, say 10 by 14, then the requirement is 10 to the side, 10 to the rear. So at 5 and change and 5 and change, it's a lot smaller than
Variance.
from 20 and 40.
Okay, and the location of the shed would not change, just the size of
Correct,
it would
yes.
change, right? And pool is pretty tight. You guys have any other questions? You guys?
No, I don't think there's a lot of space.
Right.
This is an in-ground pool?
Yes, it is.
It can't be swung around a little bit?
There's not a whole lot of room to swing it.
It's pretty.
Have you met
it's
with an
pretty
installer
tight
right there.
there.
I've seen it.
Yes.
Okay.
And here, too.
Who's the installer going to be?
Kind of a kidney shape.
TWC Landscaping?
TWC Land?
So Barbara, if we reduce the size of the shed to 10 by 14, does anybody know what the exact numbers then would be? We
Well,
need to
the
know
numbers
that.
would be still the same. Well,
The setback, the variance she's requesting would be.
depends where she's reducing it.
Well, I would think, right, that that 5'2", but to the side
Well, let me
property
be
line,
clear, because she's going to go back to the company. She could do 10 by 14, she could do 12 by 12, so we really need to know.
I would do the 10 by 14.
And where are you going to take the 2 feet off? Hopefully on the side. Come here a second. So right now, this is 10 by 16. So it would be helpful if you took the 2 foot off there to make this 7. It reduces the size of the variance.
Okay.
And then, so I'm showing her taking the 2 foot off the,
On the outside.
on the side property line. So instead of 5.2, she would have 7.2, which would greatly reduce the variance on that side.
Correct.
And then the rear at the short side, because one side of the shed is wider. At the short side, what do we have here? It's 5'9". It would stay 5'9".
Okay.
So 7.2, so you'd need 2.8.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
The pool shape itself, well, what is dictating that?
It's just a free form that we chose. It's kind of like a kidney, but it has an extra bump out. The extra bump out has like a sun deck on it, so it's safer for the kids to sit and play, so they don't have to go into the pool if.
Yeah, I mean, that back variance is substantial.
Mhm.
It's more than we usually like to approve. If there's any way to cut that back with a different shaped pool, like if they do have a more of a kidney shape, that would cut off a portion of that bump, or if there is a way to swing it or shift it in?
The pool has already been ordered because we didn't know we needed the topographic survey. So then, at that point, if we move the pool to shift it into the variance, it ends up being on top of the deck and we have to reduce the deck size.
I think if we were just talking about that, right? I mean,
If you rotate like 30, right?
if you rotated that
Right, just
a
swung it
little
over.
bit,
Right.
it's gonna help this.
Sure.
But then it's gonna get pretty tight to here, to that, because your concrete pad. And then I don't know what that does for us, really, you know what I mean? Maybe if we rotate this, however.
I think it's substantial no matter what, just because of the depth of the backyard.
Right, exactly. So I don't know what that really does. You're not gonna do that.
Cut it off maybe 3 feet.
Yeah, right, and it goes from 440 is what it's called for.
I mean, the only other option would be to do a square
Right,
in a completely different location.
you're right.
Or move the slab.
That's- Yeah, it really doesn't, not gaining a whole lot. You guys have any other questions?
Have any more questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Is anybody in the audience? All right, could you please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please?
Hi, my name is Brenda South, and I live at 22 Cindy Lane. I've been a resident there for almost 32 years, and I'm here with Mark Rothstein, who lives at 24 Cindy Lane. He's been a resident there over 50 years. Our backyards are adjacent to the applicant's backyard. Our main objection is the installation of an in-ground pool of 16 by 40 feet in such close proximity to Mr. Rothstein's side yard and my rear yard. We disagree. It's difficult, really, to determine the impact due to the lack of a scale drawing showing a site plan with the footprints of the pool, the lighting, the screening, the fencing. We disagree with the applicant's responses to Section 3B and 3C. In Section 3B, she indicated the variances are not substantial. The applicant can only provide 10.6 feet for the minimum of 20 feet for the side yard, and only 9.3 feet for the minimum of 40 feet for the rear yard. It's very substantial. In Section 3C, the applicant indicated her backyard is not large enough and no other result can be reached without a variance. It's not that the applicant's backyard is too small for the installation of the in-ground pool. It's that the property where the applicant wants to install the pool does not comply with the zoning requirements. An alternative would be for the applicant to reconfigure the existing structures in her backyard to accommodate an in-ground pool of this size. In addition, the applicant failed to answer the question if this difficulty is self-created. It definitely is. For these reasons, we object to the installation of the in-ground pool and hope that the board denies her request for the variance.
Understood, yeah, I think we can agree that the variances are substantial. Yeah, I'm sorry, anybody else in the audience, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, please, name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Freddie Keesbay, 15 Barber Drive, Wappinger Falls. I don't have any issues with my neighbors wanting to, build on their land. As far as them wanting, having a pool, shed, I really don't have any issues. I have a family of my own. I have a backyard. Eventually I'm going to want to do stuff on my own as well. I think for me, I really just want to know how close the work is going to be, or at least just the build is going to be close to my property line.
Which one's yours?
15 Barber Drive.
And are you in the rear?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, the property would be.
It's the back of the shed.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you seen the site plan?
No, I have not actually.
Come here, you can come over this way.
Take a
This
look,
way
yeah.
it's flat, so you can see it. So here's the pool, this is the shed. Is this your property?
Yes, this is.
Okay, so he's right to the right of where that shed is?
Okay. No, I'm sorry. So this is their house, right?
Right, this is Helen Drive.
This is my house.
Oh, he's where it says site plan
Yes.
under the pool? You see site plan, number 11.
Oh,
He's
okay.
number 11,
Number 11? He's here.
so he's right behind it.
His house.
So how close is that?
So the shed would be, no, just figure this, the shed would be 5.9 feet from here to your property line.
About 5 feet.
Right here, this is our property line, this dark line. So here's the shed. It would be 5.9 feet from there and probably like 6 and change over here. And then here's the pool. So the pool is only 10 feet.
Barbara.
Right here, this line. Or 9, actually, it's 9.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so after looking at the plans, I apologize, I just got a letter, I'm here. I don't really have any issues, just, they want to do what they need to do, I'm okay with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted one other final thing that I neglected to mention. The installation of this pool in such close proximity to our yards would negatively impact the enjoyment of our own yards and potentially decrease our property values for privacy reasons, just noise levels. Again, there was nothing presented in the application showing how anything was going to be, where fencing was going to go. It's just going to be extremely close to my rear yard and Mr. Rothstein's side yard. And that's why we disagree.
So on the plan that Barbara is
Can you come
over there,
here, please?
which property is
Are
you?
you 8? Are you this? I know, but based on this, here's Helen Drive, it's a corner. Which one's yours? The gentleman that was just here was here, on Barbara.
Okay, I'm on.
So this must be Cindy.
Right.
So who's on the corner of Cindy and Helen?
Me and Mr.
So you're
Rothstein.
8, then he's 7. This must be his rear, and this would be your side.
I guess,
Well, here's your house, you're on Cindy,
right.
and you're on the corner of Helen.
He's on the corner of Helen.
All right, so
he's
that's
eight.
him.
Yeah.
So this is his backyard,
And this is
and this
mine.
is yours.
He's right
side.
there.
Which ones is it, Barb?
So Mr. Rothstein is number 8,
Okay.
lot 8, and she is lot 7.
Brenda said. It's extremely close.
Got it. But we in lot number 7, I don't recall exactly like where your house is in proximity to that.
Yeah, it doesn't show it.
Yeah. I don't recall. None of you guys remember. back, like where that
I'm gonna
house is.
try to
It
look
wasn't
it
right
up.
on the edge, but I don't recall.
It was close.
It's close.
Yeah, I mean, it was,
And here's some.
that's Leo.
I'm gonna try to get it up on GIS, if you give me a second.
No, Pete wants to know where the house is. It wasn't right, it wasn't that close.
This is her house.
I can't see hers, but she's gonna pop it up on GIS.
Live feed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you scroll all the way in, that's her house over in the corner.
Oh, got it.
She's the furthest point.
Can I see it, Mrs. West?
You just go in here.
Oh, okay. That's the house back
That's
there.
her house.
Okay.
Come round. Wish I had a bigger phone. So this is, oh.
Great.
Yeah.
So this is the property in question.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Rothstein. It's the woman. I'm sorry, I didn't catch her full name. And this is the gentleman on Barber.
Oh, got it.
So this, yeah, so if we go like this, here's his house, and the pool would be right here.
Oh, I see.
Here's her house.
Right, that's the corner. Right.
This is the corner that this would be in here.
This little jog right here is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Got it. Got it. It really is a, yeah.
Tom, you want to see that better?
Yes, please, thank you.
And John?
Point is from the end of.
So this is,
Say that again?
this is the property, and the pool would be right here. And this is the Mr. Rothstein is right here, and this is the lady who's speaking. So, and this is the gentleman on Barber. So the pool would be right here. Yes. The shed would, so here's his house, so the shed would be here to him.
Some
The
kind.
pool's
Doesn't have to be
really
solid.
almost where his, near the way
I'm
back.
going to reframe, but that's quite a big variance.
Good job.
Getting pretty savvy with the
Yes, you
technology, right?
Yes, you are.
I
Taking
also
me
just
all day.
wanted to, I know we talked about it when you were on site, but there will be a privacy fence along their side, on the edge of my property, so they don't have to see my kids enjoying the pool or the swing set or anything else. But the noise, it's no different than my kids going outside playing on the swings, or the kid down the street riding his four-wheeler up and down the street making noise at 8 o'clock at night. So I don't know why the noise would be an issue.
Is there a privacy fence there now?
No, there's no privacy fence. We were waiting.
Yeah, they only had a fence at the back along a portion, which
Right.
Yeah,
is,
then the
other
neighbor,
neighbors.
Freddie, has a privacy fence. We would like to continue his
It's a
around the
6 foot,
outside.
it's a 6 foot
Yes,
vinyl, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there
it'll
would be a
continue.
privacy fence, so they don't have to look at anything.
So you're putting up a 6
Yes.
privacy fence?
Yep.
You are.
Solid?
Yes, on the outside, yep. In our internal yard, between our gazebo and the swing set with the pool, we're gonna have a regular fence that goes around the pool. But on the outside of the property, we want the privacy.
Understood.
So Mr. Rothstein won't see you,
No, they don't have to look at us.
and Mrs., I'm sorry,
That's okay, Sal.
Mrs. South, they
Nope.
won't see the pool, okay.
They don't have to look at us, yep.
There's a valid point, I think, about the construction.
We already talked to the guy that's doing the install. All the construction will be contained in our own property. It will not touch them at all.
Where's the soil going? that's
They're
being
gonna take it out.
excavated?
Yeah, I don't
In your
see that
grading
as a
permit,
concern
we'd
when
want to
you
know
say
if it's
put
going
a
out.
pool
He'd have to
anywhere you
certify
are,
that it's
right?
not going
It's
to a
gonna be the same type of
residence in
construction, whether they
Wappinger.
need a
Yes,
variance
no,
or
it's
not.
not.
Yeah, but this is close.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't,
Did they say how long it would take, I'm sorry,
No, I'm
did they say how long it would take to install? Because she's going to have,
He said he would do it right away, and it would be, I think, about a week, depending on, yeah. Yep, he said he puts pools in a day, so.
well, maybe a week of digging.
Yeah, I'm getting that hole dug in
And
one day.
another couple of weeks to
Yeah,
finish.
he said he has a couple of crews, he could put the pool in a day.
Yeah. I think I've probably soup to nuts, you're probably looking about a month. Just an FYI.
Yeah, we put a lot of pools in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only go by what he's telling me. Unfortunately, I don't have 32 years of experience in a house. I am only 33 years old, so my life experience isn't as long as some of the other people here.
Yeah, I get it,
So-
but that is kind of what you're looking at. But anyway, that's neither really here nor there. Any other questions, you guys?
Young man in the back has.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to know if
You have to come up.
Come on up there.
I just want to know if I can get a copy of that, if that's possible, or
Copy of what?
just how close it is to my.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
That plan?
If you want, so we don't have a spare.
Right, if I can take a picture.
Yeah, you want to take a picture
Yeah,
of it?
of course.
Come on over.
Just public
We'll
record.
fill your foil immediately.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can foil this anyway.
Yeah, we all enjoy our privacy. I moved here in 2017, I love it. Maybe high and high, but I respect the privacy as well, so, good luck with everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good luck.
All right, then, can I have a motion then to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close.
I'll second.
Have a second? We had that?
Johnson.
John's a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved. All right, then, can I have a motion then to grant or deny the applicant the variances? And Barb, we gotta address each
Yeah,
one.
one at a time.
Separately?
So let me just tell you some changes.
Say it again?
So
Changes.
the applicants agreed to make the shed smaller. So we will change this, but where the shed is, we're 10 feet to the side yard. The applicant can provide 7.2 feet to the side for the construction of a 10 by 14 shed, thus requesting a variance of 2.8 feet. And the next one, where 10 feet to the rear property line is required, the applicant can provide 5.9 feet for the construction of a 10 by 14 shed, thus requesting a variance of 4.1 feet.
Okay, so as we read through this, we may ask you to repeat that.
I'll give you my agenda. I'll do you one better. Just let me borrow yours while you're reading it, because I can make notes.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, this turns to 10.
So each one has to be read and either approved or denied as we go down.
Gotcha. Okay. It's 10, right? That becomes that. That's 10. Remains. Is that right? It's 4.1 feet. Yeah. Well, that one, that 5.2 then becomes.
So they're both 10 feet, right, the variances?
Yes, because they've reduced it to under 144
And this
square feet.
34.1 becomes 4.1.
It's a big change
It's huge.
for two.
And that
It's
turns
huge in the
into
best
size.
possible direction.
That changes. Yeah, it's huge difference. Yeah. A huge reduction. And hopefully I'll do it correctly. All right, so we are at the point where we need then to make a motion to grant or deny the applicant the variances, and we'll address them one at a time.
And then one other thing, Pete, do we need to, I mean, I have faith in Mr. and Mrs. Weiss, but do we have to say there has to be a 6-foot fence? Because it's not required, right?
No, 48 foot is required, so I would make that a condition if you're going to grant them.
Right.
They've
6-foot
agreed-
privacy
They've said it,
fence, yeah.
so.
Okay, you're okay with that? You're okay with that? Okay. All right, then, I am going to move to grant the applicant the variances. I'll read them one at a time. First variance then would be the pool, where 20 feet to the side yard property line is required. The applicant can provide 10.6 feet for the installation of an in-ground pool, thus requesting a variance of 9.4 feet. Where 40 feet to the rear yard property line is required, the applicant can provide 9.3 feet for the installation of an in-ground pool, thus requesting a variance of 30.7 feet. Okay, so that is we'll vote on these separately, Barbara?
Yeah, so you have to vote, because of the size of the variances,
Yeah.
I would go the side for the pool and vote on it, and then the rear.
Okay.
And the same thing with the shed. It just is very clear then.
Okay.
And then at the end, you could just add the condition of a 6-foot fence.
Gotcha. Okay, so I just read through then
So ask for a vote, a roll call on the side yard variance granting 9.4 feet.
Okay, so you want to do roll call on each one of the variances?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so then we'll do a roll call, please, then on the 9.4-foot variance.
Do you need a second?
Yeah, we need a
I'm sorry,
second.
a motion then. Did I make a motion to approve the 9.4-foot variance? And can I have a second?
I will second.
All right, roll call, please, B.
Mr. Delacorte?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. DiNardo?
I'll refrain, I haven't been here from the beginning.
Mr. Valadi?
Yes. All right, so that variance has been granted. All right, then secondly, then I'd make a motion to approve the rear yard property line 9'3" foot variance, right? The 9
It's
foot 40 feet is
30.7. It's 30.7 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They only have
Yes.
9.3.
Gotcha, okay. So the 30.7 variance, I make a motion to approve that. Can I have a second?
I will second.
All right, roll call, please, B.
Mr. Delacorte?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
No.
Mr. DiNardo?
I will refrain, I haven't been here since the beginning of the project.
I vote yes. All right, so the 30.7 foot variance has been granted as well. All right, moving on to the shed then, where 10 feet to the side yard property line is required, the applicant can provide 7.2 feet for the construction of a 10-foot by 14-foot shed, thus requesting a variance of 2.8 feet. Where 10 feet to the rear yard property line is required, the applicant can provide 5.9 feet for the construction of a 10-foot by 14-foot shed, thus requesting a 4.1-foot variance. All right, then.
Pete, I think we're going to do them one at a time.
Actually, the shed you could put together.
The
because
shed you can do
variance
together?
isn't
Okay.
that large.
Then I will second that.
All right, roll.
It's a 2 and 3, right?
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Yep,
This is the shed in its entirety, rear and side.
right, gotcha. All right, then, roll call, please, B.
Who seconded?
John did.
I did.
Mr. Delacorte?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
I'll refrain, I haven't been here from the beginning of the project.
And I vote yes. Now, going back to the pool, now we're going to stipulate that you install the 6-foot privacy fence. Barbara, do we need to be specific on where that's going to go?
It should go along the side and the rear
Okay,
to protect the two owners.
gotcha. All right, so then the 6-foot privacy fence will run along the side yard line, side property line, and the rear property line. All right, and that's a stipulation of the approval, okay?
I asked one question about the fencing.
Do it.
So there already is a fence that my neighbor behind me has a white fence. So then my neighbor's here, the fence goes here, their house is here. So is that fence going to then continue? Is it going to match my neighbor's white fence, I believe, which is 6 feet? Is it going to go like from that property line, and then go along the side? I'm just trying to get a better understanding of what this is actually going to look
It
like.
doesn't look like the neighbor you're speaking of. He put it on his property line. He
Yeah.
moved it in.
Yeah, this
She
could
has
be a
to
jog.
stay-
I
yeah,
think,
there'll be a jog.
The other fence is 2 feet in the neighbor's property line, and they're probably going to have a similar offset into their property.
So I'm just trying to get an idea. Is there any way I could get like a picture or any kind of thing that how this is actually going to
You
play
have a
out?
phone?
and look like?
Want to take a picture? So this is your property. So it should go past the jog.
Right.
Yes.
At least they say six, in 8-foot increments, like 16 feet
Yeah, right.
past the jog. This way, it really protects her. This is your neighbor's fence, but it's off of his property line. So the fence has to start like here and continue like to here.
Okay, and there's no way that they could reconfigure any existing structures in their backyard to fit this pool in a different location? That's what I'm trying to understand.
They've already granted it
Yeah.
in the place
I
that
just
they've
don't
asked it.
Yeah, right, as Barbara stated, it's granted. So, you understand the stipulations, you understand what's granted, right? What about it? Yeah, the 6-foot privacy fence will run along the side property line and the rear property line.
And it needs to go, what do you think, 16 feet past the jog? That would take that well into the other gentleman, Freddie's property.
Correct.
And their fence they'd cross each other by a good 10 feet. So that would give them pure privacy.
That would be plenty of.
Yeah, I mean, both neighbors are there. If you can agree to meet those fences in some way, I think you'd both be happier.
Absolutely.
You would have to go in probably 2 feet. He would have to let you build a 2-foot extension on his property, which I think would make sense.
He's not here.
He's in the back.
Oh, he's there? I thought he left.
Yeah, they're chit-chatting.
All right.
No, they can work that out. She has to at least go to that point, how they work it out amongst
Yeah.
each other.
Well, I'd say either 16 feet beyond that point, or they reach an
Well,
agreement
we
to
don't know
meet.
how many feet are between her property line and the fence. It could be 3 or 4 feet that he needs to maintain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's about
4 feet. It looks rather large, so
Yeah, the huge tree is there, so
he may have trouble then mowing. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to make
Yeah,
it
right.
harder.
Right. I don't want to try to keep it simple. Got it. You all set?
Yes.
All set. We're all set. You can go.
I'll work with Dee to change this so that we'll get the proper numbers.
Mr. Pintado out here?
Is Mr. Pintado here? Mr. Pintado, is he here?
It doesn't look like it.
Oh.
Everyone just left.
He didn't show? It's a no-show?
I don't know what he looks like. Well, I think I met him, but it's okay.
I mean, I haven't seen anyone that showed up in the beginning that was walked out or anything.
Yeah, there was a guy that was
Put
here.
him off to the next agenda. We'll put him off to the next agenda.
Okay. Sounds
He's
good to
doing
me.
this to legalize his
All right, so
problem.
then we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So move or adjourn.
Thank you.